Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We are breaking down that massive news drop from last night about Pandora, the Coco boat ride, Eastern Gateway. It is a fantastic time to be a Californian, to be a Disneylander. We are going to break this stuff down. We're going to get down and dirty. We're going to get hella nerdy. Up next on OG55.
I ain't got nothing to say but West Side.
Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am flying solo, talking Pandora, Coco Dark Ride, and Eastern Gateway. We're going to go over the artwork. We're going to go over the Google Maps. We're going to really deep dive and get nerdy with this. So let's go ahead and break it all down. So this is courtesy of the Disney News GOAT, Mr. Scott Gustin, friend of the channel. He's an awesome dude. The upcoming Avatar theme land will be built near the Hollywood backlot area at DCA. To make way for this new experience, Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue will permanently close in 2026. So there's a lot to break down here. Now, to kind of clarify as to what area we're talking about, this is not all of Hollywood land. So you'll still enter Hollywood land from Buena Vista Street. You're still going to have the award winners and the animation building and all that. So that whole main corridor is still going to be here. Okay. What's going away is when you make a left and you see the Monsters, Inc. Dark Ride, you see the old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show building right to the left, and the old Hollywood and Dine building over to the right, and that ugly like open air stage. All of that is going away, okay? Now, keep in mind, because a lot of people, look, I understand. I mean, when you look at that area, you're like, how in the world are they going to fit this, what we're looking at here in this concept art, in that little space? Well, there's a few ways they're actually going to do that. Number one, you have to understand that this courtyard area is a lot bigger than it looks. You have to understand that the Monsters, Inc. Dark Ride takes up a lot of square footage. The Who Wants to Be a Millionaire soundstage is a massive building. And so is the Hollywood and Dine building. So once they really start to dig into this area and start bulldozing this stuff, you're really going to see how massive this area really is. Not only that, but the area behind it, which is the bus load unload area, is also being utilized for this Pandora land. Okay. So you're looking at roughly, I think the last time I broke it down on the Google Maps, like a few months ago, I think it's about 8 or 9 acres if you include the Monsters, Inc. area and the bus load unload area. 8 or 9 acres. Okay. So it's a pretty sizable piece of property. The Pandora over in Florida for Animal Kingdom is about 11 or 12. So this one will be a little smaller, but not by a whole lot. Okay. So these are give or take numbers, but acreage wise, they're going to be pretty close. Okay. Now, what's really interesting here is because a lot of people have been speculating as to when this Avatar area is even going to open. We heard nothing for almost a year now. Remember, Josh D'Amaro got on that D23 stage and he announced Pandora coming to DCA back in August. I mean, it's almost August again. It's almost been a full year. And we heard about this Pandora experience coming to Disneyland back in like 2023, I believe, is when Bob Iger announced it at that first earnings call when he came back. So it's been a long time coming. Here's the thing. I was kind of getting a little bit worried here. We haven't heard a lot of updates on this project. Do they know where it's going to go? Right? That was all the speculation. The fact that they're closing Monsters, Inc. in early 2026 is amazing news. Amazing news. Look, I make no secret about it. I'm very critical of Josh D'Amaro. And not because I don't like the guy himself. I think Josh seems like a really nice dude, really charming, really friendly. But honestly, that's all good, but I'm not trying to date him, right? I care more about how he's running the company. And I've been really disappointed in how he's run his division with the parks. I mean, I have my concerns, but here is the fair truth. This is really good news. And kudos to Josh for coming through, because honestly, we were told this stuff is going to come to life within 5 years. I think he said at D23, and we've all been really skeptical, I think, right? Well, I mean, if Monsters Inc. closes in early 2026, they start construction soon thereafter, which I'm assuming they will. You're looking at roughly a 2030 opening date for Pandora, which is roughly a 5-year time span, now, give or take, I mean, look, there's going to be bumps in the road with any construction project. Delays do happen, and I'm not going to be like a douchey fan and be like, it's not exactly 5 years. I don't care about any of that. You know what I'm saying? Just get it done. If there are delays because 1 year we have like an El Nino, rainy winter or something, I get it. I'm fine with that. But give or take, this thing is opening in 2030, which is really, really, really exciting. Now, am I upset we're losing Monsters Inc.? Yes and no. I mean, I think it's a really cute dark ride, but we have to remember this is basically an overlay to Superstar Limo, right? This was an attraction that was like, they had this disaster that was Superstar Limo, and they had to bring in more people for DCA, right? DCA was struggling in the early 2000s when it first opened, and Monsters Inc. retheming Superstar Limo to Monsters Inc. was the Band-Aid, basically, right? So it's a cute dark ride, but honestly, I'm not shedding any tears. I would much rather have Pandora. Now, here's the other thing. The timing is very interesting, isn't it, fandom? The timing is very interesting because isn't Walt Disney World getting a Monsters Inc. door coaster? Now, our dark ride has a lot of animatronics. Is it possible that some of the props and the animatronics and the show elements that we have for our Monsters Inc. ride, since it's closing in 2026, is it possible some of those elements make its way to the door coaster over there at Hollywood Studios? I would wager there's a good chance. A good chance a lot of those figures and show sets or scenes or whatever, or not show scenes, but show elements go to Florida. I think that is definitely a big possibility. So, but anyway, this is our first story, Avatar. We finally know where it's going. I do have concerns too about this because it's going to be a weird kind of thing here. You're going to go down Hollywood Boulevard. We've talked about it ad nauseum here on the channel, but it's worth repeating because not everyone watches every video. But how are they going to do this, right? Like, you're going to walk through Hollywood Boulevard and then you're going to hit the end of the road, and then to your left is this giant alien planet. So what's going to be the justification here for Avatar, for Pandora to be there? Are they going to have like some sort of setup where it's like, they're going to have like a Fox Studios facade that you walk under and then you enter Pandora? Is it going to be like a space thing, like a space transport thing that you walk under and then you enter the planet? Or how are they going to massage this into the current park right there with Hollywood Boulevard butting up against it? I don't know. But we also have to keep in mind, this land, as we were told at D23, is based on the next 3 Avatar movies. We haven't seen Fire and Ash yet. No one has. That movie isn't out yet, I don't think, until December of this year. And the other 2 movies, nobody has any idea what's going to be in those. So there could be a Earth/California tie-in to some of these movies that we're not aware of. So again, do I think that's the case? Likely not. But is it a possibility? Yes, absolutely. So I think we should just all kind of have an open mind when it comes to that. Okay, so that's Pandora. Now let's dive into Coco. All right, so here we go. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Before I dive into Coco, let's go ahead and do the maps for Avatar. So this is basically what I'm talking about here. So you have, this is Buena Vista Street and the entrance to the park. And here is Hollywood Boulevard, right? So you enter the park through here, and then you go here and you walk through Hollywood Boulevard. So now this whole street with the Disney Junior building, award wieners, the animation building, all of this is staying. And Scott Gustin also reported that the Hyperion is also safe for now. I'm going to put a big asterisk on that one. I don't think that that's going to be the case long term. I don't think the Hyperion is part of DCA's future. I'll say that. I think right now it's probably okay, but I think it's not long on this planet, in my opinion. But what is going to become Pandora is all of this. So this backlot stage, the Hollywood Lounge, the old Hollywood and Dine building, this Monsters Inc. ride, and the old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show building, right? So when you look at this area, though, with all these big buildings, that's a good sized chunk of land. But it gets even bigger, though, when you add in this bus load area. Now, the whole bus load area, we're going to talk about it because the Eastern Gateway is also coming in. So some of this will be occupied by the new Eastern Gateway, sort of new esplanade, I guess you would call it. But a good portion of it is going to be Pandora, right? So that's going to basically double the footprint. So you're going to have this and then a good chunk of the bus load. So that's a good amount of land. So look, I understand when people say, I don't know how they're going to fit this thing. It's hard to imagine it, but this is a lot bigger than people think it is, acreage wise. So that's kind of what we're working with right here for Pandora. Okay, pretty cool stuff. All right, so let's move to Coco. Let's move to Coco. Okay, here we go. So Coco Dark Ride. And this is again from Mr. Scott Gustin. It says here, Disney unveiled a brand new look at the first ever Coco themed attraction. The ride will be built near Paradise Gardens in the area that are predominantly backstage today. Construction starts this fall. So we're not really losing anything really, except for just a lot of backstage. Now, that's what they're saying here. I think that we are going to lose some stuff though. And what I mean by that is, and I'll break it down, we'll get into the Google Maps. I think it's almost impossible or very difficult to add this facade and all this stuff in the front end without getting rid of like the pizza place or at least cutting into that. We'll see. I'm not an engineer, okay? But when we look at the Google Maps in a moment, I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. I'm kind of mixed on this, okay? Number one, I love the idea of Mexican culture coming to DCA. It's a park about California. Mexican culture is a massive part of our state. It's part of the fabric of California, right? So it makes a whole lot of sense to have a Coco Dark Ride come to California. In fact, I would, if it was up to me, if it was, you know, OG55 president of Disney Experiences, I would even have a bigger presence than what we're seeing here. I'd have an entire land based on Latin culture, but that's just me, you know what I'm saying? But this is good. I like this. I love the look of it, the aesthetics. It reminds me a lot of what we see over there in Florida with the tropical Americas coming to Animal Kingdom. Looks amazing. Okay. So a lot of wins here for sure. My only complaint, is this? Yeah. Sorry about that. I thought I turned off. My only complaint here with this placement, and I've said it before on many videos, my only issue is I don't love it being so close to the pier. Now, this is better than it being on the pier. Like, I was very much against it being on the pier where you would enter actually, like, you know, in like the Pixar Pier Promenade or something. I always hated that idea. This is a heavily immersive Pirates of the Caribbean style dark ride, and I feel like the pier is very much an amusement park kind of vibe. So the two things didn't really mesh well for me personally. So I'm glad that it's not on the pier, but at the same time, it's still very, very close. And as you can see to the left, you can still see the Incredicoaster looming over it and everything. And I'm like, I don't know, man, that kind of bugs me, but I'm just kind of being a douchey nerd about it, I think. But that's my biggest gripe. Now it says here, Scott says it's worth noting Disney had previously said work on Coco would start in 2026. We now know backstage construction will begin this fall. Timelines moving up? Yes, please. Now here's another kudos to Josh D'Amaro. Okay. Disney gets a lot of shit for how long they take to build stuff. Well, it's very rare that they actually are ahead of schedule, right? I mean, usually this stuff takes forever and a day to get done. Well, this was promised to start in 2026. From what Gustin's saying, this is going to start actually this fall in just a few months. So that's fantastic news. And again, kudos to Josh, man. This is awesome. Now, here's my thing. I'm going to give kudos to Josh when he does good. But I'll say this. I still feel like Josh is a very opportunistic business person, and I that's fine. You can be the very savvy business guy, and that's totally cool. I get it. You have to be to move up the ranks in a company like Disney. But because of how savvy he is, I think Josh is doing what Josh feels he needs to do to look good for Gorman and the Disney board, so they choose him to be the CEO. Okay, so right now he's making all the right moves. I mean, he's gonna move the timelines up for construction. He's announcing this stuff. You know, we got the Abu Dhabi thing. That was Wall Street loved that. You know, he's trying to do everything he can to win over Wall Street, win over the fans, all this stuff, right? I get that, and that's awesome. But how is Josh going to be if he gets the job as CEO? It was just reported the other day he's in the lead. Internally, Josh D'Amaro is in the lead, according to a report the other day. So if he becomes the next CEO of the Walt Disney Company, is he still going to have this kind of enthusiasm with moving up the timelines? Is he still going to be this enthusiastic and this bullish on investing in the parks? That's what worries me. It's easy to do this now when you're trying to look good for the Disney board. But when you have the job, how do you act? So I hope Josh proves me wrong. Look, we're fair here on the channel, right? We're fair. If he comes in and he becomes a CEO and he absolutely hits home run after home run, I'll say it. And I have no problem being wrong. I have no problem eating crow. In fact, I love this company and I love these parks. And I hope to God that I'm eating crow because I want to be wrong. If he becomes a CEO, I want him to thrive because that's good for Disney and that's good for us fans, right? So anyway, Coco Dark Ride, amazing. I love it. Latin culture finally coming to DCA in a big way. It's perfect. Now, the food is going to be, I really want to see some fantastic Mexican food. I mean, if you get some outdoor vendors cooking some great food, get that great smell out there, have the mariachis playing, really get the energy out there, right? I want to see some of that. Now, we talked a lot about here on the channel. We wanted a Mexican courtyard leading into this attraction. It kind of looks like we're getting that. I do see a little bit of that outside here with the planter and the little cobblestone. It does look like also once you enter underneath here, there's even more of that. So that's pretty dope. That is pretty dope. I love that. Now, let's break down where exactly this is going to go because it's pretty tight in here, right? So let's break it down. Here we go. Give me one moment. Okay, so let's go over to where Coco is going. So the artwork that we just saw was right about here. Okay, now this is what I'm saying. This isn't that big of a spot. Okay, so to fit that facade, that Mexican mission style entrance right here, to squeeze it in there is pretty tight fit. So when they say we're not going to get rid of really anything except backstage, I think there's a big asterisk with that. In my opinion, I think that this restaurant is on the chopping block. It wouldn't shock me if they bulldoze the restaurant and add that mission style facade and maybe a new Mexican restaurant next door to kind of fit this new Coco entrance. It just seems like it's a tight fit if they don't do that. Okay, so I think there's going to have to be some maneuvering here to kind of put this in this spot, in my opinion. And you're probably going to either lose the Boardwalk Pizza place or it'll be reimagined into something else in a different size and layout. You almost have to, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, you'll enter through here and you'll go through here, and then this back here is where the attraction will be. Now, I'm assuming all of this will probably be either indoors or you'll be immersed in whatever. Maybe they'll have like a little Mexican alleyway that you'll walk through. So it'll be immersive. I don't know what they're going to do with the service road here. Possibly put that underground and then have like the attraction lead up like over the service road. I don't know how they're really going to work that, to be honest with you, but I'm sure they'll figure that out. Yeah, I'm not really sure how that's going to work, to be honest with you, but we'll see. Unless you enter through here and then you go underneath the coaster or something. I don't know. I doubt that. That seems like a lot of work. It's probably going to be through here somehow. And then you enter and you go, and this is where the big show building will be. So that's pretty much what we're working with here for the Coco Dark Ride. And I mean, look, here's the thing. We have two things here. We have Avatar and we have Coco, right? none of this is really that shocking. If you've been watching OG55 or really a lot of other similar channels to ours, you know, like Hey Bricky or you know, any of this kind of content, I mean, we've all been kind of in this ballpark of like, okay, this is kind of where it's going to go, right? Coco and Avatar is probably going to go over here. Or so we've all been pretty good at kind of guesstimating where this stuff is going to go because it's exciting that we know the locations now, but it's like nobody's like shocked, right? So I find that kind of interesting because it took them forever to announce it. Now let's get into the Eastern Gateway. Okay, let's get into Eastern Gateway. This is where it gets really awesome. I love this. Okay, so again, this is from Scott Gustin, the GOAT of all things Disney news. A 6,000 space parking structure featuring a pedestrian bridge over Harbor Boulevard and a new Esplanade experience is coming to the Disneyland Resort. Construction will begin in fall 2026. So this goes over Harbor Boulevard. I'm assuming over here they will have some sort of access to the Harbor Boulevard businesses. I know that was a big sticking point a few years ago. The IHOP and all those businesses, they really wanted some sort of pedestrian access, right? They didn't want the bridge to go over them and kill their business, right? So I'm sure over here they have that. They've accommodated that. But I mean, overall, this looks freaking amazing. I mean, with the Avatar thing and the Coco thing, for me, there's a lot of good with those projects, but there's a lot of question marks and a lot of concerns. I have zero concerns with what I'm seeing here. I love that pedestrian bridge. I love how they kind of light it up at night. It looks pretty dope. Really tall too. It's kind of surprising. Like, I mean, it's going over the monorail beam and everything. That's pretty awesome. I love the mid-century style with this kind of like a structure right here. That's pretty cool. The old school Disneyland font and everything. Right in front of the new security checkpoint. I mean, I just love this stuff, man. This is absolutely beautiful. Now, if you take a quick look over here to the left, though, right here on the left, you see a corner of a building. That is likely the show building to the Pandora attraction. Okay, because this is over here. This is where the current bus load unload area is. So that building right there, that boxy thing, is likely the show building for the Avatar ride, right? So anyway, there's not much to say about the Eastern Gateway thing. I mean, it is what it is. It looks fantastic. I love the aesthetics. I think it's going to be a good fit for the resort. It does look like you're going to be doing the security check over here. So they're going to get rid of the security check down here. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting. Also, I believe that the parking structure will also have a security check, if I'm not mistaken. And they'll have like Uber drop off and pick up over there at the new structure as well. So again, this is crazy. I mean, look, I've been covering Disneyland resort stuff on this channel since 2016. 2016, a long time. It's almost been 10 years of OG 55, right? And this Eastern Gateway project has been part of that conversation since I think like 2019 or something like that. 2018, 2019. It's been a long time. So to finally see artwork and to finally know that this thing is happening, as a Disneyland fan, I'm excited. I am really, really excited. And the construction will begin in the fall of 2026. The fall. So again, with the Coco ride and this Eastern Gateway, the fall, where they're gonna start moving some dirt here. So I absolutely love it, man. I absolutely love it. This is a fantastic news dump from Disney yesterday. Now, if you are a member of OG55, myself, Mr. Webba, Candid Camper, and the Italiano, we did like a live show for members only. If you become a member, you can check out that live show. We also break down the news. We actually were going to do a live last night, but we didn't know that the news was going to drop. So the live show sort of ended up being all about this. And it was a lot of fun. So check that out if you want to become a member. It's up right now, that live show. You can check out the replay. But yeah, a lot of great stuff happening right now at the Disneyland Resort. I'm super excited. I mean, I'm over the moon with this stuff. We're finally getting some traction here. And like I said, I've been very critical of Josh Giamaro. I feel like he's made a lot of fumbles, a lot of mistakes, but you got to give the guy credit where it's due. And there's a lot of good news here in terms of like, timelines, in terms of what we're seeing here with the art. and everything. So kudos to Josh. Continue though, Josh, continue. And if you get that CEO position, come on, don't take your foot off the gas. Like, let's continue this momentum. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I would love to hear from everybody at home what you all think about the art, the timelines, where they're putting these things. I'm actually going to be doing a video with Mr. Theme Park Wizard later tonight. So that'll also be up. Wizard and I are going to break down, and I think Mr. Webba might join us on that one too. We're going to break down a lot of this stuff too. I'm telling you that we're going to have a lot of coverage on all this stuff. So, so stay tuned to OG55. If you're not a subscriber already, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we discussed today. I would love to hear from you. Thank you everybody so much for all the support. Like I said, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and I cannot thank you enough. I mean, every like, every share, every view, every time you've interacted. I mean, I love our community, and I want to thank you. It really does mean a lot to me, and really the whole entire OG55 family. So thank you so much. And until the next time, see you later, alligator.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.